Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Weekly Awakening podcast. It's your host, Colleen. How is everyone surviving the first week of Mercury retrograde? I just want to let you know, if you guys have any interesting stories about these transits that are happening and how it's taking place in your life, please let me know. Either comment on whatever you listen to this to, like YouTube or anything if you can, or send me a message on Instagram at thehairhealer1111, or email it to me, thehairhealer1111 at yahoo.com, because I'm really curious. And if you want me to share about it, also let me know if I'm allowed to share about it on my show. I love hearing your stories about these transits and how it aligns with you. And thank you guys also for letting me know that you're loving the episode, how it's going. That really, really helps. And if you want to help my show, get to the top, where I see it going, please just send this to someone, right? Tell someone about my podcast. Say, hey, I think this episode is going to help you, or I think you're going to love our show, and just send it to someone. And if all of you send it to one person, that seriously helps me majorly. So thank you. And thank you again for all the support you have done. Okay, wow. So let's get into this week. I want to start out with a little story that happened last Tuesday to explain this Mercury retrograde, and then we'll jump into this dynamic week of this week that we have going on. So last Tuesday, my Mercury retrograde episode dropped. And then on Tuesday morning, I went to the gynecologist. And I was actually getting my IUD put it back in, not to be like TMI, or not that I'm not already TMI, but for like 15 months, I got it taken out because I got it taken out for the last 15 months because prior to the guy I'm seeing, I was not having sex after I got divorced. And I was like, you know what? I really feel like I should honor my period. Some super hippie shit. Let me just tell you that, because I had not gotten my period for 4 years. I would get it like once, a little dribble once every 4 months from my IUD. And so I figured, well, it's time to get that baby put back in. But also, okay, I honored my period, but I went from pretty much not having it and any symptoms to getting it every 3.5 weeks with hormone, with my mood, and everything was happening, the normal period stuff that I wasn't used to. So I said, bye-bye. I honored you enough, period. But anyways, not to go into that long-winded story about my personal life, I go in there, and I don't think the doctor is supposed to tell me the story, but I don't really care about debating that. I go in and I'm explaining to him about Mercury retrograde. And I was like, okay, this is happening. I was kind of explaining the day that I had that you guys heard about last week. And he said, well, it's crazy that you said that. My first patient this morning, I guess she had gone in there to, got the whole checkup and decided she wanted her IUD out. And then she said, after they took it out and they're talking to her about it, she said, never mind, I want it back in. And he was like, what? She's like, yeah, no, I want it back in now. I want it back in now. I didn't ask actually what happened, if they did put it back in, if they had to wait to put it back in, but I figured two things I want to share about that story that was extremely Mercury retrograde. One thing, we have it in the sign of Libra, right? Contraceptives, someone could debate that, but I believe is under Venus, right? Love, sex, that's a Venus ruled thing, children. And so we have this Mercury retrograde in Libra. And so it's almost like, hey, and one of the things about Libra, the scales, the balance, and being the Venus planet, is it goes back and forth. It's extremely indecisive. If you know any Libra placements, then you know what I'm talking about, because they're always trying to seek balance. So they never want to make the wrong choice, right? And they're always second guessing the right choice. And so kind of having that experience, having the Mercury retrograde is kind of like, oh, wait a second. No, thinking like, Mercury retrograde rules our thinking. So it's kind of like, oh, wait, no, I want that back in now. After you took it out, I want it right back in immediately. And they're like, okay. So I just thought that was a fun little story to share with you guys about that last week, because it stayed in my mind. And I was like, wow, that is really some Mercury retrograde stuff. And the rest of the week, in the salon world, again, happening in Venus's sign, I think us hairstylists or people in the beauty industry, other Venetian rolled things, our schedules are kind of wonky and kind of crazy. So all week, like I said last week, I just accept what's happening right in front of me. I just said, okay, and almost every day I had 2 people or 3 people either have to change their appointment, have to cancel it. We're running super behind. And that whole time I just remained patient. And I can tell you everyone last week that all of a sudden, like they woke up and texted me and said, oh my God, I can't make my appointment. Somehow someone else came in, right? Somehow I got a text that day from someone else. I was thinking about Friday. Someone canceled that morning. Someone moved up to their appointment. And then someone texted me that day and said, by any chance, do you have an appointment open for color and cut this, like in the next 2 hours? And I said, oh my God, I do. Actually, someone just canceled. So when I didn't stress, like I talked about last week, when we don't stress about things like, oh no, that person canceled, or that's not going the right way, that's not going the right way, we allow there to be space for the other energy to come in, for the new things to come in, right? That's how energy works. We move something away, something else comes in. So, if someone cancels on you, and that depends on whatever appointment, not just hair, but any appointment you do, or changes last minute or no shows, right? Just say, okay, I'm allowing that to be this moment. I trust that this is happening for a reason, and let that go. And you'll be surprised when you let that go, when you're not worrying, you're not obsessing, how the next thing that's supposed to happen moves in very, very, very smoothly. I can promise you that, or mostly smooth. Mostly smooth, we'll say that. So let's get into what is happening this week. So this week we have a pretty dynamic new moon in Libra. So the new moon is whenever the sun and the moon are conjunct. They're right beside each other, and that's why you can't see the moon. The sun is blocking it out, and it's a reset. It's the restart of our moon cycle, our lunar cycle, and it's a new beginning. And every month, right, we shift and we change, and every month it's a brand new cycle, which I think is kind of comforting, right? If you had a bad month, a bad moon cycle, you can always restart it. And so this is pretty dynamic this week because we have Mars in the game. Right now we have Mercury in Libra. The sun is in Libra. Mars is in Libra. The moon is about to be in Libra, and they are all going to be conjunct. They're all going to be pretty much together. So what does that mean? Well, let's talk about Mars, because that is the big player. And we think about Mars, we're kind of like, it's a malefic planet. It's not necessarily the easiest planet, but there are good things with every planet. Just like all the good planets, there's bad things, and all the bad planets, there's good things. Our malefic planets are Mars and Saturn. So when we see Mars, we think of destruction, war, chaos, fight, anger. And that can all definitely play a part, and that can actually go into the feeling of Mercury retrograde this week. But here's the other good sign to that, right? That it's the sign of courage, of bravery, of excitement, of not necessarily, some excitement, like excitement driven by like adrenaline, right? Or doing something that you have never done again. And so let's take this planet and look at this conjunction. Conjunctions are a harmonious thing. It's a good thing. It's helping, as we are going to use Mars right now as like the battery jumpstart, right? It is the battery jumpstart to new plans and to new beginnings. So again, when we have this new moon, we want to sit, we want to focus, we want to be with ourselves. Give yourself 5 to 10 minutes, right? 5 to 10 minutes max, and say, take a piece of paper and say, sit down, let me get my game plan going. What do I want to do for this game plan? Now, I say game plan, especially in our creative endeavors, with Venus ruled things. So with Venus, we look at our love, our joy, our friendship, friends, how we commerce with people. Commerce, is that the right word I'm looking for? Commence with people? I don't know which word that is, or if either of them are right. And again, like we look at Venus for creative pleasures, and with Mercury in there and the way we think. So it's going to say, how can we use this to jumpstart our life? So sit down and really focus on that. Where in your life, right, do you need to take action? Because Mars is the action. So this new moon isn't just sitting and writing. It's almost immediate action, something that's going to immediately kind of pop off. Whether it's the mind, you have a creative idea and say, hey, I want to get this project going. Use this new moon, and you're going to feel the adrenaline to just want to go and do it. Just figure it out. Say, hey, you know what? I'm taking action. I'm getting all the supplies I need and I'm starting this tomorrow. If you have, if you're in a relationship and you're feeling like, you're not happy about something, you need to talk to something, or you guys need to start your own new relationship cycle, this is a good time to say, hey, guess what? We need to take action in our relationship and we need to get it going. We need to get it going in a new direction, right? Don't stop. Sit there and take direction. If you need to sit there and take direction, with yourself and the way you're thinking and the way you're growing and the way you're learning, this is time to really look at yourself in realistic. I like to say realistic because I think Mars really brings a real realistic tone to things, like a realistic view. Like, hey, get your head out of your ass and go figure this out. Hey, get your head out of your ass and make a game plan. Kind of like that, like the tough gym teacher. I don't know if that's a good example, but the tough gym teacher, like, let's go. You're going to run those 2 miles. I don't care what you say, but at the end, you're going to feel good. And at the end of that race, that's 2 miles, you are going to feel good. That is kind of how this Mars is toning this new moon cycle. And, it's a good time to take action, So also we're going to find with Libra, we're going to have finding balance and peace and some sort of negotiation. I can never say that word right either, in conflict. So what conflicts are you having in your life, right? Because there is no peace in conflict, and the truth is we can move beyond conflicts if someone just met in the middle. Most of the time, that's why we have wars. That's why we have hate. We have these things, as everyone says, my opinion and what I think and what I know has happened is right and yours isn't. And then the other person's like, no, there isn't. But guess what? I can say one thing. There's 2 sides to every story and the truth lies somewhere in the middle. And if you get transcend beyond your ego, beyond being stubborn, being on something, in a conflict with someone, you can meet in the middle. I can promise you that. And then when you meet in the middle, you find peace. And when you find peace, you find happiness and you find freedom. So whatever you're fighting with, whoever you're fighting with, whatever battle you're fighting, right? Is it work? Is it relationship? Is it kids? Is it custody? Whatever it is, find peace in it. Find balance, And if you think the other person is being worse, then be the peace that they need. You would be surprised how often you can meet someone and you're not coming at them with the same energy they're coming at you. They actually will find peace then and say, wow. So that's going to be a big thing, right? Again, finding balance, peace, and negotiation in conflict, taking action in the relationships, being able to speak your truth, maybe a retruth because we're in Mercury retrograde right now. So a lot of this is going to be some revision, some rethinking, some reshaping. And with Mercury there at the same time, don't go pop off because we have Mercury retrograde. So remember, communication is a little wonky at this time. Okay. But with Mars there, it will either allow you to speak truth in a situation you formerly needed to and you couldn't. That's what happens. Let's say you had a boss, 3 months ago and you couldn't say something to them. And all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I got the balls. I'm going to go say it to them today. That's what's going to happen. But also remember, I like to warn people, Mercury retrograde makes things a little wonky. So being able to speak your truth or really rethinking, what is my truth? What's my truth? Again, in all things Venetian, all things relationship ruled. Also being able to make a clear decision on something you were indecisive about. We talked about Libra, very indecisive sign. So making that clear decision all of a sudden and being able to act on that clear decision. How many times do you sit there in decisions and say, I don't know what to do. I don't know which way to go. I don't know what to do. Well, all of a sudden it's going to be like, boom, it's going to hit you. I know what to do and I'm going to take that action, right? Like it's going to be, wait, I don't feel hazy anymore. I'm going to really take that action. And again, the momentum to want to jumpstart something new, whether maybe it's a new, I like when Mars and Mercury are in there, like a new action plan for your mind and body, right? How are you aligning those two? A new action plan for that. And so it's important to, during this time, to also be confident. Aries is youthful and it's confident and cocky, right? The negative side of Aries of Mars is cocky and the positive side is confident and believing in yourself and being able to do that. So whatever comes, believe in yourself. You can create that. And also with all of this, remember, what you see happening in the world, how you view the world on a day-to-day thing is how you perceive the world internally. How are you internally for yourself, and how do you perceive the world? I was just explaining this the other day to someone. So for instance, you can't see what you don't see. This is good for Mercury retrograde right now. If you're mad at someone and you're like, I don't understand how, they could do that to me, how they could say that to me, how they don't think that that's wrong that they did that. Well, here's the thing. You stressing about that certainly is not going to change them. And also half the time, even you saying something to someone is also not going to change them, because if they already saw life that way, if they already saw that situation that way, that's how they perceive life, and you're not going to change it. You're not going to change it at all. So if there is some conflicts of tongue, walk away too. If you can't find that peace, that balance, that harmony, walk away and accept that, wait, hey, you know what? I guess I wouldn't, if they knew better, they would do better. And I wouldn't have to say something. That is the truth of that. If you know better, you do better. And that's with yourself. And that's with everyone else in the world too. You know better, you do better. It's definitely going to be a little bit of a dynamic week, and we're going to be feeling it. And just like we feel all the transits, we see as it ebbs and flows in our life. And we know that we can keep growing and doing the things we need to do. And so, again, this is going to be all about action. I'm taking a sip of my drink right now. Action and getting shit done, getting that game plan, and believing in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, maybe ask yourself why. Why? That should be a reflective question every day that you ask yourself. It could be my Mercury, but I'm always saying why. Why did I do that? Why do I feel that way? Again, if you don't believe in yourself, you don't feel confident in something, ask yourself why. Sit with it, meditate on it. Think about the first answer that comes to you, but then also reflect on it on the rest of the day and say, what is it? Is it something, oftentimes, as what I believe is all of this stuff really originates in our childhood. Is it someone saying to me like, hey, when you're 5 or 10 and you come up with this idea and someone said, that's stupid. That's a really dumb idea and you're not good at that, right? That stays in us. And as kids, we think, kids resist, or shift out of things often, but that stays in us, creating these moments that like, oh, wait, I'm not confident. So look at that. And if it's an inner child thing, if you realize you're not confident in something, you don't have the ability to mentally do it because you don't feel the confidence, and it's your child, your inner child, that is a great way to heal your inner child. Sit with your inner child, meditate with your inner child, talk to your inner child and say, I'm sorry you didn't feel confident. Go back to that moment that you did, or even as a young adult or even a month ago, you can do this exercise. Go back in your mind to that moment when you didn't feel confident, when someone took away all your confidence in something you believed in. Go back to that moment and say to yourself, you are good. I love that idea. That's very smart. Envision yourself saying this to yourself. Envision yourself hugging yourself, loving yourself, and giving yourself the confidence that you need. I'm telling you, it might sound wild, but it works. Sit. It takes 5 minutes. Again, it could be, 2 years ago when your boss said, hey, that's the shittiest idea I ever saw, and I don't know how you're ever going to be successful in this career. I hope no one said that to you. But again, another example, sit with that. Be that person, right? Be the other person in the room. And when you envision yourself how that felt to hear that, or you cried or whatever, go over and hug yourself. And again, tell them, no, you're smart, you're kind, you're worthy, you're confident. You are all of those things. Remind yourself of that. Getting to the end of the episode. So again, we have the new moon, we got this big conjunction, we got Mars taking action, and really reflect, because this is going to be, I think, any moon cycle that's beginning with Mars, or even this kind of the stellium. I never say that right. That's really what that is. The stellium, it's a big new moon as far as it comes to action or something jumping off right away, or you being able to have the momentum for it to happen this next month. So again, some Mars ruled things are really going to take over and color the cycle for this month. And also, if you want to know where you can expect this to be happening and really playing out in your life this week, look, what whole sign house does Libra rule? Think about that. Look around, look at your chart. What does Libra rule? It's not necessarily that you are a Libra unless you're a Libra rising, and then that's going to be in your first house, your house of self, but where does Libra rule in your chart? And go to that and figure out what is happening. For mine, it's my second house of finances, money, what I go out to do. And in Libra, and again, I have a very creative project. So I guess it's more so jump starting and getting shit done this week, or figuring out a new action plan to come up with different money or different finances or future finances, whatever that is. So yeah, happy new moon, everyone. I hope it's a beautiful one. I hope you guys find happiness, grace, peace, love this week. You're able to find it in yourself, because once you find it in yourself, you'll be able to find it in other people. Remember that. If you don't trust yourself, you're not going to be able to trust other people. If you don't love yourself, you're not going to be really able to love other people. If you're not happy with yourself, you're not going to be happy with other people. And at first there can be a temporary disguise, but in the end, when you get to the depth of it, it's not going to be there if, you're going to see the world exactly how you see it on the inside. So remember that, and remember that when you're trying to change someone's mind about something or wish someone didn't do something, all you can do is work on yourself, work on your internal world, and then eventually that will reflect on the outer world. Whew. Okay, this episode is done. Again, if you have any stories about how this new moon, how this Mercury retrograde with Mars played out, please send me a message. Facebook, Colleen Dixon. I'm also the Weekly Awakening podcast on there. The Hair Healer, 1111 on Instagram. Also, one real quick thing, and I want to know some people's opinions. You can let me know. I'm thinking about, I had the shift. I got shut down at 17,000 followers on TikTok. Now I have 3 little TikToks that are all separate with 20 followers, and I don't really care. That will build if it's supposed to build. But I'm thinking of, and I can't believe I'm saying this out, switching from the Hair Healer to Cosmic Colleen, which is what I was originally a while, like 5 years ago on Instagram. And that was when I got kicked off, that was my old TikTok from a long time ago. And I'm trying to decide where the Hair Healer fits. I'm still doing hair, but I almost felt like there's a different, I am a complex person. We all are. So I'm not just healing. Sometimes I'm a little wild. Sometimes I'm a little sexual. Sometimes I'm, faithful. Sometimes I'm funny. Sometimes, and I felt like, and sometimes I do hair. Sometimes I do astrology. Sometimes I do Reiki, whatever it is. And I felt like there was a set of expectations that came with the Hair Healer, and that it didn't really explain me in a whole umbrella. And so I've been tossing around. I haven't felt the Hair Healer, that name, since January of 2021, if I'm being honest, and I switched my podcast name. But it also feels like it's a social media identity, but I'm thinking of then switching it and making that. I can't believe I'm talking about it on here because it's been swirling in my head. I maybe have talked about it with one other person, to making my Instagram and really now rebranding myself as, Cosmic Colleen. As far as branding, I like Colleen, but as far as like my social media branding, Cosmic Colleen, I feel like that allows me to be more me and allows people to understand me more than just having the Hair Healer, because I feel like that brings a whole other energy. And the healer part is a big part of me, but there's all these other avenues as well. So let me know what you think about that. I can't believe that's a new little Mercury action plan right there. Let me know what you think about that. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful day. It's all going to work out. I love you all, and goodbye.